Hi everyone, I'm joined today by Cameron from Infinigate. Cameron, I wonder if you could just give us a little brief of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you, Nathan. Hi everyone. Cameron Mail. Quite a long job title, but I'm the modern work in business apps commercial lead here at Infinigate Cloud. Let me make that make sense. It's a modern work. That's everything Microsoft 365. What that really means is the apps that you're used to using every day: Outlook, Teams, PowerPoint, Word, Excel. So cover Microsoft 365. Then extending up to Copilot, which we'll be talking about a little bit today. And then everything business apps, that's everything Power Platform, everything Dynamics 365 as well. So yeah, cover quite a bit here. But yeah, looking forward to jumping in today, see how we can talk about Copilot.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds super busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So obviously you alluded to what we were going to talk about today anyway, which is a little bit about Copilot. So what I've done is I've kind of got some questions to ask you so you can kind of
Hmm.
reel those off, but I've split it into a business focused and then also a technical focused one as well. So probably
Yeah.
just to start with, I think in dollars, I can't remember off the top of my head what it is in precisely in pounds, but in dollars it's £30 per user per month for
Yeah.
Copilot.
Yeah.
How can a business justify that price?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the UK price is 24.70 per user per month. This might be the easiest question you asked me today. If you look at just the cost, and if you think about it just in terms of it being a license, yeah, sure. It does look pretty heavy compared to some of the other licenses you might be used to buying through Microsoft. But if you look instead as actually what it enables you, that's where I think actually then it more than justifies its price point. When I talk about Copilot to people, I try and explain it in a way of like it's like having an AI assistant, or another way to look at it is almost like having an intern. It's like an intern you can scale across your business. And I'm not sure there'd be too many businesses if I say, look, if would you like an intern for 24 quid a month? They'll probably go, actually, do you know what? I probably would, in terms of just being able to delegate some of my workload and help me save my time and save some energy. As we go into a little bit today, is how we can improve productivity with Copilot, for instance. I think then it'll start to all come together. But yeah, in the many conversations I've had with customers, price hasn't really been too much of a sticking point, which has been fortunate. So yeah, I look forward to jumping in and talking a bit more about that today.
Yeah, nice. So you spoke about my next question really and touched on it briefly.
Mhm.
Obviously, with the price point being 24.70 a month, it's not huge. But when you kind of look at like the man hours and stuff that it can save,
Yeah.
I think just looking at that side, like how can Copilot help improve productivity across a business?
Yeah, and that's a very broad question. The answer is going to be very broad as well. Copilot is a tool at the end of the day. Rather than it be able to do a specific thing, it's there to help people do a bunch of different things across each of those apps. If I'm talking about how it can improve productivity in Outlook, for instance, it's going to be able to help you summarize long email chains. Or if you come in from, after just 5 days on holiday and you come in, you've got 300 emails to catch up on. It's much easier to then get quickly to the most important emails. You can quickly feel like you're on top of everything. If we look at Teams, in terms of improving productivity, being able to really easily summarize how a meeting's going so far, and maybe you come into a meeting late and you want a quick recap. Perfect, it's really good at that. You might be looking for it to easily rattle off action items, which especially if maybe you have like monthly sales meetings, or if you have maybe board meetings that can go on for quite long. Really, really nice and easy that way as well, so people can stay engaged in the meeting, knowing that actually you do have, again, like an intern just kind of sitting in the background, just keeping minutes of the meeting and keeping action items. So that's just Outlook and Teams. There's PowerPoint, there's Excel, there's Word as well, which I'm happy to jump into, but I just want to give you a bit of a taste as to how it can improve productivity in some of those apps. But then also, is how is it going to improve productivity for certain roles and certain people as well, right? Like in sales, it's going to be different to finance to legal. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so we've got a few licenses internally, and I've got one at the moment. And I think my favourite part is because often in a sales role like mine, you end up with email
yeah,
chains that are about 20 emails long. There's just
yeah,
the feature at the top that I love that just says summarize this email chain, and it just gives you, 5, 6 bullet points of exactly where that is in real simple terms. And I think,
yeah,
especially for busy maybe busy execs, busy salespeople, it's really valuable in that kind of time saving aspect. I think that probably leads me nicely into the next question, which is, do we have, or do you have, should I say, any examples really of businesses that either you've worked with, Infinigate have worked with, using Copilot to improve that productivity, or just overall, the value that's brought that business through Copilot?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this is still, particularly when we're talking about the SMB space, where the vast majority of businesses are in, this is still a really brand new product. The idea of AI itself is still really new, right? ChatGPT feels like it's been here for years. It was November 2022. It's less than 18 months ago when that became available. So in terms of how are people using this today, by all means, I could definitely share some stories. This is only going to become more and more obvious and prevalent. And actually, before I do jump into some of the stories, it really reminds me of like iPhone or the iPad or Apple Watch, where I definitely was guilty of this as well. Where I was thinking, well, what use case does that have? Why would I want an iPad? And a lot of people felt that way. Then 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, once you see other people using it or they tell stories of how they're using it, you go, oh, right, that clicks for me. So yeah, happy to share some stories today. Will definitely be more coming in the future as well. But for me, it's how I've been using it. And the biggest like sort of takeaway, I guess, from me is when I'm using it in Outlook and when I'm using it in Teams, it's something that Microsoft was saying before it was available. It's the idea of digital debt and reducing digital debt. And I thought, yeah, sure, that kind of makes sense, but does it really in the grand scheme of things? For me, yeah, 100%. Like I'm extremely busy talking to partners, talking to customers about Copilot. But actually, even though I'm really busy because it's released, I feel less stressed because there are certain things I can sort of just let go. Like if I'm in a meeting, I know the Copilot is going to be there taking notes. I know if I've agreed to do 6 action items, I don't have to try and remember them all. It's going to have them there. Maybe I'm jumping into Outlook and, maybe I don't want to have to go completely into write mode. If I'm looking to write to put together an email, it's nice and easy instead, rather than have to go, hi, it was really good to meet you today. Really look forward to see you next Thursday, and think, how am I actually going to spell that out? I can just say to Copilot, hey, put together an email that says it was really good to meet them. I look forward to seeing them next week. And it's gonna put it together in a nice format. It's going to use the right words. It's really nice and easy to adjust. So it's just engaging a different part of my brain there, rather than have to be like, oh, I'm in create mode because I have to be. It just offers that flexibility of choice. So that's how it's helping me, how I feel like it's helping me personally. But on the productivity side, yeah, there's already a lot of stories as to how that's helping people. One big one is Sainsbury's said this at a Microsoft event that their C-suite have been using it. They do an all hands meeting once a week, and that requires a lot of the board to get together and look through data and pull through, okay, who are our best performing stores in last week? What are some of our best performing products? Some of our best offers? What do we have coming up? Trying to get all that information into PowerPoint. And this is something that I do. It's what a lot of people do, is where you've already got the information, you just have to put it somewhere else. That's what Copilot excels at. And so they were spending, I believe, I could get the timings wrong here, but I believe it's 6 hours they were spending each to pull together this once a week. First week, it took them 8 hours using Copilot. You might think, well, that's more, Cameron. That's just because they were getting to know how to use it, and also Copilot was learning from them as well. But then that's each week from there has been dropping and dropping and dropping in terms of how much time that's taken them. And I think now it takes them 1 to 2 hours to pull together that presentation for them each week. So yeah, I've scattered a few different stories at you, but that's because, as I say, it's going to be very similar to almost like iPhones, like iPads, where people kind of get a bit of an understanding as to what the product can do, but how does it actually help people? We're going to have more and more stories come out, in the weeks and months from here. So
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and I think as you said before, and I think this is probably one of the concerns, and it's one of the biggest concerns at the moment anyway with AI in general, is it, you know, is it there to replace people? But I think the
yeah,
takeaway really is that this is a tool to be used, and it's
yeah,
only as good as the information that you put into it and how you use that tool. And I think that's probably the
absolutely.
biggest takeaway, especially for business case examples. What we'll do now is we'll move into more of the technical side, a bit more for like the techie people, IT managers, people like that. So really, because it's so new and it's so prevalent, and there's so many risks associated to it in a technological point of view,
Mhm.
what would you recommend any business or IT manager to to do to, as in like pre-adoption tasks before they start rolling Copilot out?
Yeah, and this is, we spoke earlier about how can a business justify the price point. I said I think that's probably the easiest question. This is probably going to be the most difficult question. I'm glad you're asking it. I hope those that are interested in AI and Copilot for their business are also thinking about this as well. What do I need to do today to get ready? The answer is probably quite a lot, but you can definitely manage that. I think effectively if you ask that question before. I don't think you want to buy the license and go, okay, cool. Now what do we do? I think definitely be thinking before about what do we need to do before we install it. A couple of things. A lot of people have used ChatGPT. It reached 100 million users in 3 months. I'm not surprised. AI is a buzzword. People want to see what can it do. And then again, as we spoke about earlier, the word of mouth piece, people going, oh, you should check this out, and kind of blew up from there. In terms of how AI in very particular, I guess like tasks or in like locations such as within those apps, though, there's still a massive, there's still a lot of education to be done there. So that's going to be a big one for me. What needs to be done is to educate people. Educate those that are going to have a license, 1,000,000%, educate them on how they can use it. But even if you're only maybe looking to give it to 10% of your workforce, I think that's a smart choice if you want to start small. But bring the other 90% along on the journey as well, because I 100% understand and appreciate that people are worried about AI and they think, oh, is this going to take my job? No, this is not going to take your job, this tool. It's a co-pilot. It has to work with someone. It's not lead pilot or autopilot. But I can definitely understand hesitation from a lot of people, especially if they don't know what is it capable of. Why are we looking to install this? Why is it so secretive? So I think the more transparent it is and the more you bring people along the journey, just the easier you're going to find that. Similarly, I'm talking pre-adoption, but just quickly on post-adoption is that once it is in play, think about how you're going to be able to share best practice and share learnings as well. And again, make that as transparent and open, I think, as possible for everyone, even if they don't have a license. All right, that's a big thing, education. The other thing then that definitely needs to be looked at before you look to adopt Copilot is data. And it doesn't introduce any risks, but what it does do is if there are already risks that exist, it's going to make them a lot more prevalent, a lot more easy to uncover, either on purpose or accidentally. So how this works is, Nathan, you've got Copilot yourself. So your Copilot can access and open every file that you can open. It matches your exact permissions. And that'll be the exact same for everyone that has a license. So if you can only open files that you should be able to open, you can't get into anything confidential, or that might have, say, like finance information or payroll information or other people's HR information, then you're all golden, you're fine. But I definitely want people to be aware of that and have a look at, just to make sure that they do have a complete data strategy there, and they do the hard work, unfortunately, that needs to be done, just to ensure that my people can get the files they need to. It's really important for Copilot, but they can't get into the files they shouldn't be able to get into. Okay, those are the two big things for me: educate your people and have a look at your data and see if you need to make any adjustments. And I guess one last thing then, as part of the pre-adoption, actually, is identify who you want to start with. I would really strongly suggest against licensing everyone. That is going to introduce too many risks. I think just from it, again, like a lot of people go, well, how do I use this? And or if you haven't done that data work, they might be able to get into files you don't want to, and you don't want that to then roll out across everyone. So start small. There are two ways I'd recommend. Don't start too small. Don't go 1 or 2 people, because you're not really going to have enough people that can learn from each other. It's against the brand new technology. Either identify a specific team or department that you think will get a lot of benefit out of this. Could be a sales team, could be a marketing team, it could be SLT, however you want to go with that. Or alternatively, and this is what we've done, is rather than look at a team or a department, is look at everyone and think, well, who do we want to give this to? Who do we think would get a big benefit from using it? But also, who do we want to give it to in a variety of roles, so they can all learn from each other and share what works? So what a couple of people on our sales team, 2 on our technical team, someone in support, someone in marketing, someone in finance, just so we can all then come together and say, well, this is how it's working for me, and all sharing ideas. And that way we can then understand, okay, is it worth rolling out to finance? Are we going to see benefit from for our finance team? Is our sales team going to see benefit? So yeah, just something to consider there as well. Who should we give these? Who should we give this tool to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think last question here for the technical side is how does Copilot integrate with businesses' current tools and workflows?
Okay, yeah, perfect. This is where Copilot is really, really strong, right? Because if we were talking about Chat GPT and you're asking the same question, how does that integrate with the current tools and workflows? Is that kind of doesn't, sitting on the outside. By all means, you definitely could, if you wanted to, use Chat GPT to review a blog post that maybe you've written. By all means, you could bring it into the workflow, but it's not already sitting there. It's not already existing. That's the big difference for the 365 Copilot. Is it meets you where you're already working. It's there in Outlook. It's there in Teams. It's there in PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. So it's there sitting nesting within your M365 apps. And because as we sort of touched on when we were talking about data, this can access every file and every folder that you yourself can already access. So that what that means is that it unlocks a wealth of power really from using Copilot, where you could maybe be in PowerPoint and you say, hey, look, I want to create a presentation based upon this document because it already has a lot of the information in there. And again, it's almost like you're delegating that task to an intern. So then what it can do is it can take that document and go into PowerPoint and put together some slides for you. Just going to get you most of the way there. But again, like an intern, you're probably not going to take it for granted and go 100% that's ready to go. Great, thank you. You're probably going to want to look over and review it as well. So yeah, it's because it's again sitting on top of your data. It means it has access to your emails, your chats, your files, your meetings. You can put all that together in the apps that you're already working in.
Yeah, I think I find it super seamless. It's just there, and you don't really have to look too hard for it. And I think it's got a bit of a way to go in like just generalness because it's still new. But I've got to say it really saves us who are using it like a significant amount of time. Like we use it for turning maybe our webinars into like questions to create content for like our videos to start pushing marketing, and it just kind of is like a fresh pair of eyes on it. Yeah, exactly like an intern. Great, that was all super useful. I think the last bit to ask you isn't necessarily about Copilot, but you can make it about Copilot if you want to. It's your choice. But what are the three, or should I say, what are the top three things that businesses should be looking for over the next year for their IT or within their IT?
Yeah, good question. Two of those are really super easy for me. Security. You probably thought I was going to say AI Copilot. That's number two. I'll come back to that. But security, that's the big one for me. Super important. No matter what a business is looking to do, that they do have, their estate locked down. Easiest thing there is multi-factor authentication. That's the first thing, and there's still unfortunately too many businesses that aren't doing that. My girlfriend literally said that they had MFA turned on this week, and this is quite a large business she works for. So it's pretty scary. So that's going to be the main thing for me. But have a look across the. There are a lot of great options to make sure that your business is secure. It might be that you need to use different tools, different products, different services, depending upon what your business does and what your people are doing. So that's going to be my big thing to have a look at. Are you secure? If not, work with your partner to get to that place. The second thing is AI, is Copilot. But mostly for me, it is AI. Copilot is a great tool, but I think businesses do need to, even if they don't want to embrace, the sound like a marketing buzzword, but the AI revolution. I can understand and empathize with that, but they should at least be aware of what it is that's going on. Increasingly, I think there's going to be more hesitation from people that don't have too much of an understanding around AI. So even if you only want to, look to understand it from that perspective, so you can get in front of it and work with your teams to understand. Look, this is what it can do. This is what it can't do. I think that's really important. But some of these tools they're ready for people to use. Copilot does have some really strong elements to it. For the vast majority of businesses, they would see productivity gains, they would see employee happiness gains. So, just recommend have a look into that. because it could be something you want to leverage today. The third thing for me is going to kind of tie back into the other two, but it's education. And I think that there's been so much change in the last few years. It's not going to slow down. So if there are already things out there that you want to learn more about, there's no time like the present, because let's say things are only going to rapidly grow and expand. Like we're talking about Copilot, this is Microsoft's AI offering. They're going to have more coming out in the next year, 2, 3, 5 years. But it's not only going to be them. We're going to see more and more come out as competitors as well. So yeah, get on top of it. Have a look at what's out there, so you feel completely clued up.
Yeah, great. Great, Cameron. Really appreciate your time today. If you want to find out any more information about what we've discussed, then feel free to reach out either through our LinkedIn, through our website directly, or you can just give us a call directly. Appreciate your time. Thank you.